Hello, how is it going? Welcome, welcome. Just getting all my stuff organized. Oh, of course, as soon as I start my stream, that's when my cat decides. You okay? You feel better now? Or are you continuing? Oh, no, we're continuing. Okay. How about now? You feel better now? I swear. Again, as soon as I start a stream, that's when my cat decides he needs to be safe. Poor baby. Feel better now? Okay. Sorry. Hello. With my squirrel brain. That's just how things go. But hello, welcome to the stream. We are going to do our usual, well, starting to become usual. This is the third one. Yeah, the third stream that we've been doing. So we're going to be doing productivity writing sprints, which you don't necessarily have to do writing. If that's not what you want to do, you could just do like an activity you want to do. So reading, writing, cleaning, etc., etc. But usually what we've been doing is we've been starting off the first few minutes of it just chit chatting, saying hello, all that kind of stuff, and then we kind of dive in. I'm gonna do what I did last time, which is bring up that game, which is the virtual co-working game, because I felt like it was really good to like have that kind of running off to the side, and I don't get copyright banned for that. So we like that very much. So that is the plan. So today I've got my water or my salty. I don't know what you guys are going to be drinking, but I've got my seltzy going, so we are good with that. I've got both of my cats. Well, you heard me talking to him, but you might be able to see her over here. She fell asleep, which it might be hard to see that that's her because there's also like a black jacket that I put over there, but she is currently asleep over there. So I have at least one of them in frame. Hello. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Um so it's been one of those days. Especially with these two. And again, like I said, as soon as I start stream, that's when at least one of them has to act up. Yes, I know your tummy was very upset, but I've got hey. I know, yeah, no worries. Again, we're just here to have fun and chit chat and do all that kind of stuff. And no, you're not late for one for one of my shows that we just started. We literally just got started. So we went live 4 minutes ago. So you were at the top of the hour, so to speak. So we are chilling. But I'm going to tell you guys, oh my God. So today is voting day in our state, in my area. So we went to go and, hubby and I went over to go and vote, um, which was, it's honestly pretty streamlined where we live. Like it's pretty easy to like get in and get going. But like, it's always a pain in the butt in some way because like we show up and there's like a million people trying to give you flyers of like, here, you should do that. Like, please. Ah, oh, cool. Yeah, you have a question. Yeah. Please let me know. I will be happy to answer your question. Please let me know. But yeah, so I was dealing with that earlier because I was like, got to get the voting in. We love voting. I don't have my sticker on me because we left it in the car, but we love voting, all of that. But it's been one of those days because I was like, I want to get this done. And I'm always like prepared for it to be busy over there when you go to like vote. But it's honestly super streamlined, but like you never know. Because anytime I guess it's probably when we run the big primaries. Like I know we've got our next big one in November in my area, so I know that'll be more of a like hotter ticket item for people to go in and actually vote for. But this one was much more like other like other stuff. But anyway. Oh, and yes, if you have again any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer you. So we're just or like if you've seen any of my stuff, you know I ramble and I talk in circles sometimes. How do you recommend where to start building? That's a good question. So, this is my first interconnected series, honestly. So, I sat down and I basically had like an idea, and that's basically what I've been building everything around. I'd say a good starting point is at least know like what characters you're going to be using. Make sure that they're consistent, because that's the one thing that I'm kind of discovering is starting my own, is that I'm starting this brand new series, which is the Project DDD that I'm working on, and trying to make sure that all of the characters are consistent because they're going to show up again. It's interconnected, so they're not like it's not about them, but like you get what I'm saying. Like they are going to show up, so making sure I have kind of like a stack of notes, so to speak, on like, okay, here are my characters. Here I know this couple is going to be in this book. This couple is going to be in this book, and this couple is going to be in this final book. So it's like, you know, you got like a little cheat sheet, so to speak, on like who your characters are going to be. So I'd say if you're going to start an interconnected series, definitely have that at the baseline of like, I know these are the characters I want to write books around. And again, I have a weird process with writing books because I don't have like a super like I have an entire plot already built out. I kind of have an idea, like a very basic behind idea. So it's like with Project DDD, I was like, I want to write a grumpy sunshine romance in a small town with the male lead as a doctor. That was it. That's all I have. Everything else I've been writing off has been just pure vibe. So I would say probably keep all of that in check. So, hmm. Sorry, I'm reading this one, so I'm trying to. I haven't. Um, doing with Carol, aka Gavin. What can my interview character say? I guess I. What can my interview character say about his movie? Hmm. I'm not the best with like the with movie stuff. However, if you want to find like good movie questions, look up a lot of like the press junkets that a lot of like the actual like movie people actually do. So like when you see like the press interviews for like, whatever, upcoming releases coming out, they have like a whole series of like questions and stuff like that. So if you want a really good, like I'd be happy to give you questions or whatnot, but I feel like you'd get much more bang for your buck, so to speak, if you were to look up like a press junket tour, because they would give you like all kinds of actual questions for like movies, like a crossover. Okay. Then yeah, definitely look up like one of the Marvel press junkets to see what kinds of questions they were asking them during those, because it really depends on like who these two characters are, because if you've got like an interviewer and an interviewee, like what is the interviewer like the main character, is the interviewee the main character, like what's the purpose of this interview, is there any like how do I put it? Is there any like goal of this interview, or is it just like a purely interview that's happening for like a very brief amount of time? So that would be my advice, so to speak. Do you keep? I actually keep both. I do digital notes and I do like a project notes. So I have this is just like my everyday planner. So I'll use this for just like kind of daily tasks, but I use Notion for basically all of my like project tasks, so to speak. So I have a section for social media planning and that kind of thing. I have a section for like books and like keeping track of all my book notes and all of the like basic information that I'd need to like actually put the book. How do I put it? I have basically sections in sections in sections. So I'll have like, for example, Project DDD has a section in like the basically the book projects section of my Notion dashboard, and in that section, it's basically all of my story notes. The eventually it's I've got like kind of like an overview page, so I have like a dashboard, like a what do you call it, like the overview and the blurb. I've got tropes and stuff like that listed out, so it's easy for me to reference during like marketing. um just kind of like all different kinds of things. So if you don't already do some sort of like project management sort of thing with that, I personally would highly recommend it. I'm very much of a type A person though in that regard of like if I don't have everything like written down and like organized in a specific way, it just completely gone. So like all of my I mean, when I show screens, I could probably show uh, my first release, which is the pen name project. That one had I didn't really start doing like super organizing until probably Twisting Fates, which comes out here soon. But I have like a little page that I had for that, and it's basically just like all of my things that I need to quickly reference. There's like a front section for that, which again, sorry, me and my rambling. I'm trying to think about what my interviewer name. Sorry. I'm trying to think about what my interviewer's name is. And can I answer the questions? I'm not sure what you're. I think I might be a little bit confused of like what exactly is happening on that. Like what you mean when you say that. Like is it like a question about like the questions itself, or is it like something to do with the characters? So I'd need a little bit more context on that. Let's see. Okay. Well, it is currently almost. We'll give it another minute or two. We're not in any rush. We're just hanging out. So, oh, these things. Real shorts. What types of posts? That's a good question. So, this is and take this with a little bit of a grain of salt because I'm currently on my third book. Um, my first two, which you kind of can see, I've got my two my two current ones that are, well, that one's out on the bottom shelf. This one is coming out soon. So this will be my third book. So take it with a bit of a grain of salt because I'm still kind of learning and growing and figuring some of this stuff out. But I do have another video, which I'm not gonna like go check out another video. I do have a video of one I had done where I was like where I'm like trying to start figuring things out. So you can go look at that if that is interesting to you. However, I would probably say if you're looking for something of like, I haven't really written much of the book yet, I'm not sure what to put out, keep it simple. Keep it very, very simple. Keep it to the concept. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. I've got one that I'm going to be putting out, which, spoiler, I've got one that I'm going to be putting out for Project DDD, which, again, I haven't announced the title. I haven't announced pretty much most things because I'm still obviously working on it. But I can give you the basic premise of it is it's a sunshine, grumpy sunshine romance. It's a small town doctor, um, and the vibes basically. So if you're wanting to give like a post where you're like giving like little teasers and stuff like that, you can start doing some of that and giving like general ideas. So it doesn't have to be like a quote. It doesn't have obviously because if you don't have any of that yet, like or you don't want to like spoil anything, it's like you're giving something like a tease of it, but you're not like overwhelming. So either just like a general concept of like again, oh, she's the sunshine and he's the grumpy person. Oh gracious. Notification. Like he's the grumpy one, she's the sunshine, then this happens and then this happens and then oh this is what, and then whatever you want to refer to it as. So again, like mine, obviously Project DDD is not the actual title, that's just what I'm calling it right now until I actually announce the title and the series title, but you get my drift on that one. So I'd say start simple with stuff like that. If you want to get it a little bit more complicated, if you know at least of like, I know this is 100% like a scene that's going to be in the book, then you can kind of tease the idea of that scene, if that makes sense. So like, you know, like for Twisting Fates, for example, when I was working on writing that, I posted a lot about like, oh, well, she's, rivals to lovers and, you know, they're doing a documentary, like just very, very general, just very basic in that way. I hope that was helpful. I'm sorry. I'm stuck on my notebook story. It says to the lady. Stuck on the norm. Story pages 2, and I can't figure out what my interviewer says to the lady. So you're not sure like what they're gonna say to the person they're interviewing? I again, squirrel brain. I am completely. I'm dead. Let me go ahead so that we've been chit-chatting for a bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get this game up and running on my other screen so that way I have that ready. Because of course, as soon as I start trying to do anything, it's like, oh no, I 100% understand that. Social media as an author is, it's very complicated, and it's one of those things where it's like it's a big joke with my author friends and I of like, you're not just an author, you're also your own social media manager and marketer and book formatter and, whatever else. Especially if you're an indie. I can't speak for traditionally published because I'm not traditionally published, but it's kind of like a catch 22, so to speak, of like tons and tons of other stuff. And I'm not a social media person per se. Like, I'm doing this stuff and I love it and it's been a lot of fun, but like, I am not a social media person per se, so I'm trying to like figure some of this stuff out too, and it's complicated because it's also like the algorithm changes all the time. What platform should I put my stuff on? So it's kind of like it's chaotic, but like I would say if I'm going to give any piece of advice that I have learned myself so far, cross post. Cross if you have multiple platforms. So I have TikTok, Instagram, and I have obviously this YouTube. So, and I will post the same video occasionally on all three at the same time and see how they perform. And I have like a thing that tells me well, and I'm testing this out, but it's like I have a poster thing basically that helps me schedule stuff and will post at a particular time if I tell it to basically. But I'll post all three things to the same or to those three channels, the same content. I'll sometimes change up like the audio or whatnot, but it's still the same content. And I'll basically see which one does best on which platform. So it's really kind of a hit or miss. So it's like, for example, I've noticed that my videos where I have like my face showing and I'll have like stuff about the book on the cover or like not the cover, but I have like stuff about the book like in front of my like text on the screen or whatnot. So like, oh, good question. So depending, it really depends on the platform. So YouTube in specific is very finicky about like copyright strikes. So you have to be very, very careful. So what I'll usually do is depending on the kind of content I'm making, so a lot of like certain graphics or whatnot, I'll make over on like Canva and I'll download just the like, it's completely mute, there's no sound or whatnot. I'll upload it onto YouTube, like the shorts or whatnot, and then I'll go through their library and I'll pick whatever song or whatever, audio I want to do. And then I'll try to find the similar audio basically across all stream. Because sometimes it's, you get lucky and it's a popular song that like all three platforms will have, but sometimes it is kind of finicky, and what gets popular on one platform may not necessarily be popular yet on another platform. So it is a little bit of research to kind of like figure out, but I do tend to try to stick to the same audio across all things to kind of give it like a net neutral, like a baseline, so to speak. But it really, really depends on the platform. Again, I would say YouTube is the most finicky about it, but like TikTok can be. Reels is also a little finicky, but I would say be most careful if you do YouTube Shorts because they are the most finicky about it. I have yes, if you have epidemic sound, you can absolutely. Excuse me. If you have epidemic sound, I know for sure. At least for YouTube, I know 100% for sure you should be fine. All of that jazz. You should be fine if you have the Instagram Reels as well. I would check their terms and conditions though, because I'm not 100% sure on that. But if you have an app like a subscription to Epidemic Sound because that's who I use as well. Um, I'm pretty sure you should be fine though, but do not quote me on that just yet. All right, so let me put this over here. These brands. This is private. And then do this. I'm gonna switch us over to the original love. And then I'm gonna put that over there. So that way we can get some sprinting done. Okay. So this is my little, I just like, again, this is not like a gaming channel, obviously, but like I like having this on my screen just because it helps me when I'm like just me by myself during the day because I also work from home, so this has been helpful for me. But I made this a private chats or a private server, so it's just us here. And I'm going to be writing. I'm gonna get my little Pomodoro up. So, okay. So this game is on together virtual co-working or online virtual co-working. Bleh. Online virtual co-working. So it's basically kind of like, I call it a productivity game, but it's basically depending on what kind of server you put yourself in, either this is a private one so nobody else can join me, but you can also join public servers. You can also have servers with like your friends or whatnot. And it's basically just like you're in a space together where you're like, hubby's making faces at me off screen. Um, but you can basically just like hang out together and work on stuff. And like I like it because it's got stuff like a Pomodoro timer. It's got like a task planner, so you can put like tasks and stuff like that on it. It's really cute. I really like it. A little journal, some to-do tasks, that kind of thing. So you can use it basically for whatever. Like, and again, when you sit down or whatnot, you basically are just like focusing on something. So that's why I like using it. And I like using, I started it last time we did streaming, but I thought I would continue doing it because I really enjoy how it looks and all of that jazz. So, all right, we're ready. We're gonna start our sprinting. So you can do whatever tasks you want to. Again, if you want to write, outline, you want to work on cleaning, you're cooking, whatever it is you want to do. But for the next 25 minutes, when I start the timer, we'll basically just work on our tasks together. If you have any questions or if you want to continue chit-chatting in the chat, you are more than free to. I'll try to respond when I can't, when I can, but I'm basically going to mute myself so that way everybody can kind of focus on what they want to focus on. So if I don't respond like during the 25 minutes, I'll try to respond afterwards when we have like our 5-minute chit-chat break. But I'm going to go ahead and start the timer now, and we will get started. So good luck, everybody. All right. We are done with that sprint. How's everybody doing? Oh, welcome in. You're not late. Welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Let's see. Sorry, I had seen answer. How often you post? So right now, I post. Let's see. On Instagrams, I post every day, but I switch up what kind of thing I'm posting, if that makes sense. So I try to do like three like posts, so like a typical graphic or a picture or whatnot, and then I try to do 4 reels every week. So I kind of alternate them or just kind of mix up the order of how I do that, but I do that every day. And then I have basically how I've ordered my week, because again, I do work full time as well, in addition to doing all of this. So I have it structured so like during my free time or whatnot, I have certain days that I do tasks. So I'll do writing and editing on like most of the week, and then I'll have a day where I'm doing social media, and I'll have a day where I'm doing like admin kind of stuff. So like the other like stuff that doesn't necessarily fit into the other categories. So I kind of spread it out in that way. So that way I have, because again, I'm very type A, I need to have like some structure to my day or my week. So, because if I don't, I'm just floating into the ether. Hi, Bubba. Um, so yeah, so that's that's my spiel on that. I mean, again, it depends on your like I would say it really just depends on like, and I hate using this term, but like your brand. Again, I hate that word, but like it basically really depends on what you're doing, what your goal is right now. Oh, thank you, honey. Aw, got me pizza. We love hubby. But basically I'd say figure out what goal you want to do. So if you are brand new, and again, I'm now a little bit past this point, so I can speak a tiny bit on my own experience. Yes, yay, hubby. So I can speak a little bit on my experience with this. Oh, sorry, I paused the timer just so I could get my gear going, but timer's going for that. But for when I first was getting started, and this was before I'd published the pen name project, I didn't start YouTube until I'd already gotten to the point where it was already like towards release, um, and do it all by myself. Okay, perfect. So you were right where I was, which, oh, if I can get any wisdom to you, I will be more than happy to do that, because I know how hard getting started is. It is the biggest pain in the butt. And even again, I'm still growing, I'm still learning, so it is a continuous process. But if I were to give you advice, and this is just, author to author, friend to friend, start small. Start small and see what platforms you like, because if you're trying to put yourself on platforms that you just don't like or don't enjoy being on, like I put stuff on, again, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, um, Blue Sky, and Threads. And I enjoy all of those platforms in different ways and different things. So it's not as huge of a thing for me, but like if I were to be like, if I had to give certain ones up, I could probably cut 1 or 2 and I would probably be fine. So my focus is okay. Well then, so I didn't start doing the YouTube stuff for me until I was a little bit, again, I had already started posting some stuff more regularly on like my TikTok and my Instagram about, writing the book and that kind of thing. I didn't start doing much of the YouTube stuff until after I would probably say I was already in the middle of like getting ready to publish the pen name project. So it was going towards release. So I'd already edited and all that kind of stuff. And I had just started doing the, I had just started the first draft for Twisting Fates when I started doing this channel. So it's a little bit joining for vibes. Yay! Thank you for being here. So glad to have you here. Um, so I was still like in the early process of Twisting Fates, so I was kind of like in the middle of that. But is Mama Lifestyle with a mix of right? Oh, okay. But yeah, and the writing, and again, I can speak from experience on that. it evolves as you go. I'm figure out what things work, what things don't work, that kind of thing. My I basically kind of had a kind of there's kind of a tiny bit of separation in like how I do my content on YouTube, because basically like the more cozy, the writing stuff, the like the vlog kind of stuff is more of like my long form content. And then if you go over to my reels, that's much more of like my book marketing and that kind of thing, cuz I, again, like I said, I cross post to different platforms. So a lot of the stuff you'll see on like my YouTube shorts is much more of the more markety stuff occasionally. And I have considered, because if I'm honest, and I think I've mentioned this once or twice before in a video or stream before, I have considered getting rid of TikTok just because of like some of their like policy stuff, all of that recently. But like it's oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. That makes me so happy. Because yeah, I like having the kind of dual. Because if I'm so honest with you guys, the writing, the vlogs, and that kind of thing, that's mostly for me, because this is just what I really enjoy doing, and I like talking about it, and I like sharing it with you guys, and like just chit chatting like this kind of stuff. Like this is my jam. And then again, the more markety stuff, I have considered like going back to the sorry. I have considered getting rid of like the TikTok stuff just because of their policy stuff, which would mean I'd probably have to like do a bigger mix of like what kinds of shorts that I do. But right now it has been like my marketing stuff is much more on the short side, and then the long form content has been much more of the writing stuff. It really depends on what like you want to do with like your channel or whatnot. If your entire goal is I just want to talk about writing, I don't want to talk about the book stuff, then that is perfectly fine, and you could definitely make shorts out of like the vlogish kind of content. Like you can definitely shorten it up and like do little quick snippets of it, or you can do like I have done, where it's like you have kind of like a separation of like the marketing stuff and the YouTube, like the long form stuff. So it really just depends on like what you enjoy doing. At least I can say that from my experience. Dadgummit, how is it? I'm pausing that real quick. How is it every time that we get like into one of the every time, I'm telling you, every time we do a pause, it just completely I just ramble away. But yeah. So and that's perfectly fine. Again, I would say probably honestly doing like shorts and stuff like that with like the vlogish kind of stuff, and the process is a lot. I don't want to say easier, because it's not easy in any stretch of the imagination, because both things are hard in their own ways, but it definitely requires a little bit less time than like the long form stuff to try to like edit and do that kind of thing with it. I would say my only advice with that is, if you're going to do that, get some good like editing software. So like for my long form stuff, I use DaVinci Resolve. Love it. You can get it for free. You don't have to get like you don't have to buy the like pack, like the whole thing of it. I bought it because I use it for like my long form stuff, but like you can get it for free, and you can do both long form and short form content on it. So it really just depends. Or use CapCut. CapCut is also free. You don't have to have a subscription for that. So that would be my advice for that. So sorry. Me and my rambling, and I've got cats and I've got pizza waiting for me. But okay, we will go ahead and do I know I've got my little timer thing here. We will go ahead and start with our next sprint, and I'm going to go ahead and get that started, and I will see you guys again in the next 25 minutes. So, let us go. All right, another sprint down. How we feeling? How are we doing? I think you can. Absolutely. If you've been thinking about it a lot, definitely write it. Why not? Oh, goodness, sorry. It's also, again, I've got this pizza from hubby, who, again, we love hubby. Uh, but it's so awkward to eat on camera. Like, I was just looking, I would just like occasionally glance and I was like, oh, wait, maybe I should like go over here. Just gotta hang out over here and eat off camera so you guys don't have to see that. I also have, I don't, can you, is it on that side? No, you can't see him, but Link is over there and I've got Luna at my feet, so that's fun. Are you multi? I'm currently a one at a time. I would love to get to a point where I can juggle multiple things, but right now I basically have like a pipeline of like having things in a certain order. So like right now I've got pen name publish pen name project is published. And then I had Twisting Fates in the pipeline. Twisting Fates is now in the process of being published. It comes out on April 8th, so everything for it is done. I'm basically just waiting for that to come out. So now I have Project DDD on my plate. And once I get the first draft of Project DDD like done, I'll start the outlining for Project DDD 2. So I basically like to have like a pipeline of things so that I know like, okay, once this thing is done, okay, now I can shift my focus over to this thing. I'd love to get to a point where, sorry, I need to put the timer back on. I'd love to get to a point where I can write multiple books at the same time, but I can't do it. Most of my other author friends as well, they don't do that. I don't think they do it. I think some of them like they'll have like if they do multiple things they'll have like a short story or like a novella that they're working on while also writing like a larger project. But a lot of my other author friends, they do a lot of like novellas and that kind of thing. Like one of my good author friends, she lives not too terribly far away from me. I'll occasionally do like in-person sprints with her whenever we have time and like a group of other people. But like she um she does basically mostly novellas. I think she's got one or two actual like titles out, like like actual novels, but like most of them are novellas. So like I think she is one of the ones who like has multiple things she's working on, but most everyone else I know that has just like the novels out only do one at a time, but that's just me. How do you title your series and books with the series? Okay. So that one's interesting. So with the first book, so I have two standalones, and then this one is the first in a series that I'm doing. And this one was interesting because for Project DDD, I already knew the title almost immediately because it was based on like this little like thing I had said in my head of and like it's almost like a joke with my husband about it. And I was just like, oh, actually, I really like that. I really like that. And then the series title for this is basically just kind of like a play on t- basically the town that they're in. So it's like, and I don't want to say it right now because I'm not ready to announce any of that yet. But I basically had already come up with that pretty soon. With the pen name project, which is the first one I did, that one I actually had titled it that way because that's what I was doing at the time. Is that I am author Elizabeth C. Cabrera, but my romances are under my pen name. So I operate under two different names. I also have another title out that is under my Elizabeth C. Cabrera name, which is a literary fiction. I'm hoping to eventually do mysteries at some point in the future under my like Elizabeth C. Cabrera name. But right now I'm focusing purely on the Lee Creek, which is my pen name, the Lee Creek books, which is the romances. Um, but at the time I hadn't decided whether I wanted to do a pen name or I wanted to do like just everything is under my name. Um, but it's mostly for branding that I decided to have like the separation of the two. And when I originally had like started writing that book, I was just like, oh, this is the pen name project. This is the project that I'm working on that'll be under my pen name. But because of the context in the book, and the character, is also writing a, a book under a pen name and she's trying to write a romance, like it just felt very apt. So I kept it. Um, and then for Twisting Fates, it's a tornado chaser romance. So kind of a play on that, which that one I did a little bit more like playing, like word playing with that one. I wish there was 100% like 100% method of deciding what to title your like the books and stuff like that, but like it's mostly just vibes and poorly put together context. But yeah. And the whole reason I haven't decided, because here I will spoil this little bit. I actually have already finished the first draft of Project DDD, sort of. I have a video coming out about that, like not too far in the future, but I have everything so planned in advance because the last 2 weeks of this month, which the last 2 weeks of March, I'm going to be out of town on my yearly trip with my family, which I'm looking forward to quite a bit. But I've had to kind of start really planning and like scheduling a lot of content in advance. So the whole reason I'm not announcing the series titles because I want to be literally here. I want to be here when I do that. So I'm like, I'm just going to hold off on announcing all of that until I get back, which will be at the beginning of April, basically. So that's the whole reason of me not wanting to say that yet. But the first draft is technically done, but I've had a lot of issues with this first draft, and I think I have gotten kind of squared away with exactly what I need to update and fix and all that kind of stuff to like really bolster it and really like boost it up. But like vibes, just vibes right now. See, I'm a yapper. I will yap the time away completely if you let me. All right, we are on to our now third sprint. So I will go ahead and get started with that in a second. I'm also going to like scoot slightly off camera for a second so I can eat this pizza before it gets completely cold. But I'm going to go ahead and start the timer. If you have any other questions or anything like that you want to chit chat about, let me know in the comments. I'll try to answer. Either I'll type it while I'm like off screen for a second, or I'll just answer it when we come back. But let's go ahead and get started. All right, we're down another sprint. Hoorah! Oh, gracious. Okay. I'm going to start the timer this time, I promise. I just need to get my bearings. So, how do we do that sprint? How are we feeling? Oh, gracious. I was able to finish my pizza, so I was very happy about that. Oh my gosh. So, like I was saying beforehand, I'm working on Project DDD right now, and it has been, you guys know, it has already been just an effort to get through some like issues with it. I feel like I'm finally getting my footing on it because I got the first draft. I got that first run through done, but I had a lot of wiggle room to like really go in and fix issues I already knew like going in and all this other stuff. So I feel like this is going to be it. This is the vibe. Especially now because it's like I think my final word count for this draft was like 68,000. So lots of wiggle room. How big of an outline? So that's interesting because that has changed a lot since I first started. When I first started writing, I was a pantser. So Pen Name Project was completely pantsed. I probably went through like 6 different drafts of like 6 different stories, completely different stories. But like it was 6 different drafts of that. And then when I did Twisting Fates, I did like a general outline, and I still had some issues with that, but like I felt more comfortable with like the story and all that kind of stuff. And I think I only had like 2 drafts of the story, like not including like copy edits and that kind of thing, but like the story itself. So I was very happy with that, and I brought that to Project DDD. And I think what I learned with that is especially for something with like an interconnected series, I needed more of a structure going in. So good with the outline, but I think going to the next, like to DDD2, I'm going to have to do like a very detailed outline, because the problem that I was having, which ties into your question, Momo, was that I very much do tend have noticed that I tend to get stuck on the same issues of like when I'm writing, I'm going off of vibes, and if the vibe is off with a particular scene, I will pick it up and I will move it to a different place, because I'm like, "Oh, this feels like it'll go better here. Oh, this feels like it'll go better down here." Oh, and so by the time I get done with that outline, it's just completely just all over the place. So I have noticed that I have that problem. So and I actually talked to an author friend of mine, and I think what I'm going to do for not this draft, because obviously I'm already going through it. So for DDD2, when I do start writing it, I think I'm going to do just a straight Word document or like a Google Doc, and have like basically just titles for the scenes or chapters or whatnot, all my notes off to the side, so that way I have to go from top to bottom, and then I can transfer over to Scrivener and then go from there, because the picking scenes up is really biting me in the butt, because again, yes, in the moment it feels right, and yes, because I have a general outline, I know generally how things are going to go, but like, it's still very up in the air and open to interpretation, so it's kind of like, okay, this just doesn't feel right here. And I did that with Twisting Fates, and it very much worked out because things went better with the way that I moved things around as I was working. And I have a feeling it's going to do the same with DDD. It's just because I'm in the trenches right now. It doesn't feel that way. So it's like, it can be a mixed bag in the way of like, there's different issues with the same thing, if that makes sense. So, like, again, with the scene picking up, with motive, like, again, first drafts for me tend to be the hardest part of the process, because I'm putting an entire novel on paper. So I tend to have a lot more moments where I'm staring off into space, because like I'll sit here and I'll just completely dissociate and look up at like the wall, because I'm trying to figure something out in my head, like how should I word this? How should I put this scene into like on paper? How should I start this paragraph? So like I'll be just staring at the wall, and my husband will come in and be like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, basically every writer I know, every author that I know just has a moment where they're dissociating and just staring off into space because they're trying to figure something out. And it's not because we're not there. We are there, but it's just kind of like, oh, I'll pause this real quick to finish. But yeah, like you are trying to figure that out. You're trying to figure out what to do, what to say, how you want to say it, all of that kind of stuff, but it's just kind of like the wording, yes. The wording, like, I feel like I have a generally decent flow for the most part. The first draft tends to be where I have the most gunk in my gears, because again, I'm trying to get this whole thing from here onto the page. So it's like getting all of that in a way that makes sense and sounds nice sometimes just messes with my head. So it's kind of like, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's like, and I have to continuously remind myself, like, it's not going to be perfect. This is the rough draft for a reason. It's gonna suck. That's how that works. So it happens to all of us. And again, I have an author friend who I won't say her name, but she has been doing this for so long. She's been an indie author for a very long time. She's very well known, but even she will be like, I will just panic, just staring at, just completely staring. Yeah, I do that too, honestly, of like getting up, talking to myself, and like because sometimes that helps too. Like again, when I'm trying to figure out the wording or something, I'm particularly notorious for like just staring at something. But if I'm trying to like figure out like a plot point or something like that, I'll even go and talk to. I will go and talk to hubby, and he'll be like, "I have no idea what is happening. I don't know what the story's about, but you can tell me about it, and I'll tell you what I think. But like, I don't think I'm going to be that helpful. But like, you can tell me." So sometimes it is helpful just to talk it out because like sometimes you just need like the third person, like the not third person, but you just need somebody else to tell you you're not crazy. Because otherwise you will think you're crazy. I know, at least I do. So anyway, all right, we are down to our last sprint of the night. These feel like they go so quickly. I don't know. They feel like they go so quickly, but we will go ahead and get started with this final sprint for the night, and then we'll wrap up and we'll talk for a few more minutes, and then we will close out for the night. And I will talk to you about the next sprint or the next like yeah, you need to hear yourself out. I need to like take this and put it out so that way it makes sense somehow. But but yeah, at the end we'll talk a little bit more because again, like I mentioned, I'm going to be out of town, so I'm going to do another like live stream a little bit sooner than I usually would. But we'll talk about that at the end. So I will go ahead and start the sprint now. So good luck, everybody. Oh my god, we're done! We are done with sprinting. Let me get out of the game. I'm gonna switch over to live. Get that done. All right, how we doing? If you can't tell or hear, so I have both of the cats in my office still. Luna is in the chair again. She is somewhat. Oh wait, no, she's not there. She's down by my feet. And then this one decided he needed to be picky uppy. So dun 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 dun. Hi, Bubba. He's such a needy baby. Like, you guys didn't hear because I had myself muted, but he comes in here and he starts meowing at me. He's like, pick me up. Pick me up and cuddle me. I swear, I spoil him. I don't have children. I will not be having children. These are my children. These are my children. So this is Link. Link is, they're both 7 years old. Oh, stretchy buddy. Oh, good boy. Um, yes, he's precious. They're both 7 years old as of, they're about a month apart. They're not siblings. Oh, okay. Oh, you want to go down now? Okay. They're not siblings. I love cats. I love them so much. I love dogs too. I grew up with dogs, but I love my babies. They are my babies. I know people you either like get the cringe from people like from us millennials with the fur babies or whatnot, but I love cats. I love my fur babies. But they're both about 7 years old. He is older by like a month, I think. They're not actually siblings. They're like from two different litters, but funny enough, we went to go to the shelter to adopt them because I had just, unfortunately, timing was terrible. The timing was terrible because we had just, like, hubby and I had just gotten engaged, and I had a cat before. His name was Binks, and he was the love of my life. I loved him so much. He was a black cat, so sweet. Oh, so sweet. And I had him for a couple years before I met hubby, and then we got together. He moved in. Hubby loved him immediately. Hubby, hilariously enough, what you said with the allergic to cats, Hubby is also allergic to cats, but he's gotten used to it. He takes medication for it. But we had just gotten engaged. We went down to go see my parents for Christmas, and Binks got sick. And I knew he was sick. He had a heart murmur condition, which the doctor had been like, it'll be like, or the vet had been like, it's a 1 in a million shot that it's going to really do any damage to him. And unfortunately, it did. So we very unfortunately had to put him down because he was just in too much pain from that, which, again, 2 days before Christmas, right after we got engaged. But long story short, with that, we ended up coming back, and hubby was like, we need to go adopt another cat. We, we have to. Like, you're never going to want to do it if we don't do it now. So I was like, okay, let's go, I guess. We went into the shelter and they put us in like the kitten room, and they're like, you can, if you want to adopt a cat from this room, you can adopt any cat you want, but you have to take another cat from this room home with you because they're all bonded. Like, they are all bonded together. And if you want to adopt one, you have to understand you have to pick another cat from this room. So I was like, okay, that's fine. As soon as we walked in this room, we sat down, and Luna, who is my black cat, which, let me see if I can pick her up real quick. Come here, baby. She is my big fat black cat. She is the one in my videos where I joke with Cat Highway because she likes to walk across my desk as I'm talking. This is Cat Highway one. So this is Luna. So as soon as hubby sat down on the ground, this one ran over to him, and because he was wearing a hoodie at the time because it was cold, she sprinted over to him, jumped in his lap, and was like, and started playing with his hoodie string. And he's like, I have to take her home. I have to take her home. I got to do it. So that's how we got her. And then, so obviously it's like, okay, well, crap. We knew this was going to happen if we picked somebody from this room, but now we got to pick another cat. So I went over, I picked up Link, who was the one who jumped off of me, and I was just like holding him for a second, and he just fell asleep in my arms. So I was like, all right then. So yes, so this is Luna. So Luna is my black cat. Link is my he was chosen. Yes, he was chosen. He just, at random, he happened to be closest to me. I picked him up, put him on my lap, was like, okay, well, you picked that cat, I'll pick a cat. And he just fell asleep in my arms. And I was just like, okay, there we go. So this is it. Yes, you're very cute. We know you're very cute. Stubborn, absolutely stubborn. Both of them are so stubborn. We love them, but I know. I know. You're very talkative too. Very talkative. They're so funny. It is a cute story. I love these two little nuggets so much. These are, again, hubby and I won't be having children because that's not our vibe, but we will be having cats. So we have the two fur babies. So you guys, if you've seen any of my other videos, here, I'll put you down, baby. You will see them quite often because when I'm in here trying to get some work done, they are just all over the place in here. And yeah, and they fit right in. They are, yes, hello, you're back. They fit right in. They're very happy here. At least I hope. Yes, we hope you are. But anyway, sorry. If you get me a couple topics of if you get me talking about books, writing, or my cats, I will talk for I will talk for hours. Because I just love these little nuggets. Let's see. Did I miss? Okay, I was just making sure I didn't miss anything while I was rambling. But all right, that was fun. I enjoy doing these so much with you guys, just because it's like fun to vibe and to chat and like get some work, especially just getting anything done. So I am terrible about just being like, oh, well, I'm tired after working today, so I'm just gonna do something else instead of actually getting some of this stuff done. So it's like, let's let's get to work. Oh, absolutely, yeah. My cat does that too. I've got so the setup like you guys see here is like my main, like this is my like what I write on, what I do most of my like regular stuff on. I have another setup over here, which is my work setup, and I have a laptop over there, which you've seen if you've seen my community post recently. I have a picture of him sitting on the laptop for my work stuff because I have it hooked into like monitors over there, so that way it just pulls from the laptop into the monitor so I can see it that way. But like he just sits on the laptop all day. And it drives me nuts because I'll like put stuff on top of the laptop, just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna put this here for a second, and then he just he just knocks it off. It's just like, can you not be a cat for like 5 seconds? Can't help himself. Can't help himself. Interview questions. Well, again, it depends. So, what can my interview character say to the female interview questions? Again, I'd need to know the context. Because, like, if it's for like a movie thing, movie question, I would think like movie related questions that they could ask. It really depends on like the plot of the story though, because like if it's like this conversation that they're having is like this is an important conversation, then you'd have to include like some context into the questions as well. Or if it's just purely like I am just interviewing you and there's no deeper meaning to this, then like so like movie interview with a rating. Okay, so yeah, I would look again. My advice would be if you are looking for like movie questions, definitely look up again if it's because you mentioned the Spider-Man thing before. Look up they've got the press junkets from like when they do and basically any Marvel movie. I would look up what I would like listen to one of those. They've got them on YouTube, they've got like anywhere, everywhere. Instagram reel like all over the place. If you look up what kind of questions they're asking, you can better tailor what exactly you want your characters to ask because like I wouldn't be able to answer that because I don't know much about like what it takes to be like an interviewer and asking somebody about a movie that they've made. Like I have no experience with that. So that's a very much like a research kind of question that would be good to look at like references. So like again, movie like the junket stuff. TikTok has a lot of that kind of stuff as well. Um and that kind of thing. And same thing with answering the question you'd have to figure out exactly what the purpose of of the question is because with a lot of story stuff and again I don't know if it's like a novel or if it's like a short story. I don't know the context of like what all it is, but you need to know like what purpose does this conversation serve to the overall story. So like if it's again I won't rehash all of that, but like if it's for a specific purpose, look up like figure out what the specific purpose is and then like take note of like how, I'm not wording this correct very well, but like if it's serving a specific purpose of you know take note of what purpose those questions or like what the interview is for and then look up again I'm not wording this very well. This is why I'm a writer and not a speaker. But the basically it boils down to the same advice will be for both sides of like what the person would say as an interviewee and for what the interviewer would be like. um I feel like that would be for both sides so that way you can get like a better understanding of like how somebody would respond to a question about a movie and how they would like word the question if that makes sense. um but yeah, so that sorry squirrel brain. But that's going to be it for the stream for tonight. We are going to do another sprint though, or not another sprint. Um, we're not going to do another sprint tonight again, but for the next live stream, I'm thinking it'll be sooner than like when I would because usually I try to do every other week. But so basically I'm going to be out of town the last 2 weeks of March. So basically those entire 2 weeks I'm going to be out and even into like just a slightly bit into the first week of April. So I don't want to schedule, obviously I'm not going to be here. So when we would normally do another live stream, I'm going to be out of town. So I'd like to do one a little bit sooner. So I'm going to put a poll in my community tab because I'm thinking, let me see, when did I put? Yeah. So either the 15th, which is going to be on a Saturday, or Sunday, because I'm thinking of, we did the like, we've done the mix of like the morning stream and the evening stream. So next time it'll be a morning stream. So I'm thinking either Saturday or Sunday on the 14th or the 15th of March, because I'll be like, it'll be like just before I have to go. So I figured that would be a good time to do that. And I'm thinking 11, like I did last time, but I'll put the poll for that is probably going to be, I think, next week is when I have it scheduled. Because I have some other things scheduled because I schedule everything. But I'm going to go ahead and have that up for you guys for next week to help me figure out when you guys want to do another one. And yeah, I'm sorry if I couldn't be more helpful for that question. I hope I was able to help you a little bit at least. Did you do a video? I can definitely add that to the roster of stuff. Definitely wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm still new to this kind of thing, so like I'm still figuring some of this out. But yeah, I could definitely put that on the roster of things to do, of doing like a video for the stream stuff. I didn't think of doing that, but thank you for the idea. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here for tonight so I can let you guys get back to your evenings or whatever time zone you're in, morning, evening, all of that jazz. I will go ahead and let you go. I appreciate you guys for sticking out and hanging out with me. It really makes me so happy that you guys actually want to stick around and do these with me. It really means a lot to me. So I appreciate you being here, and I will see you guys in the next sprint or the next live stream. So have a good night.